Hello. So it's recently been revealed that Newcastle United have decided they want to redesign their own badge. As we know, that always goes down well with fans, and they absolutely love it when a badge redesign is planned. We have seen numerous Premier League clubs attempt to change their badge in recent years, but it never went down well and has never lasted long. Leeds and Everton are the two most obvious examples with their recent efforts to redesign their own badges. Leeds had this quite frankly horrific effort that thankfully never got off the ground, and Everton had a badge redesign forced upon them, but that was reversed after just a season, and it wasn't good either. Generally, badge redesigns do not go down well, as they seem to become the same cookie cutter circular nonsense as every other team in world football, really. They lose all their uniqueness and any character, all in the name of brand recognition. Personally, I think you can have any badge and still get brand recognition. I mean, look at what the boys in red have got. This badge has been the same for quite a long time, and it doesn't look like changing anytime soon because it's iconic. And I couldn't see teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid changing their badges either. I mean, Real Madrid's is kind of circular already, but Barcelona, I highly doubt will change their badge because, again, it's iconic. Same with Manchester United or Liverpool. Liverpool, they have sort of changed it. They've taken one design element out of the badge, but it is still quite similar anyway, so we'll give them a pass on that one. It's not a circle, so that's good. Now, the most recent victim to this curse, and it does feel weird calling them a victim, is Milton Keynes. They went from an okay badge to this awful looking thing. You can dress it up with all the fancy design language that you want. This badge is crap. Quite frankly, implementing the MK chalice from their previous badge was a good move. I do think that's a nice design element, but other than that, it just ain't good. And their previous badge wasn't that good either. And just to, put the cherry on top, they've referenced the roundabouts. Yeah, let's put the roundabouts on our football badge. That's what Milton Keynes is known for. So very silly. But even during the redesign, they did not get rid of the Dons part of their name, which they probably should have got rid of while they're at it because they're not the Dons. In fact, the real Dons are in the League 2 playoffs and Milton Keynes is not. So you can hold that one. If it's not clear already, I don't like MK, but even then, this badge is not good. And I wouldn't have wished this upon any team that I dislike. Because it's not good. All the character the previous badge had, just gone. Now, there wasn't much of it, to be fair, but there's even less of it here. This ain't it. And then you got the likes of Inter Milan, Scunthorpe and Deportivo Alaves, who are all examples of new circular badges which I just don't like. What a crazy lineup that is. Inter Milan, Scunthorpe and Deportivo Alaves. I don't think they've ever been grouped together before, but it's not for a good reason either. Inter's previous badge was also circular, but looked far better than their current IM badge does. And the new circular designs of the other two have just destroyed any uniqueness that their previous badges had. And I just can't back it. Scunthorpe's was very noticeable. Someone holding a bar of iron. Class. And Deportivo Alaves was the flag in a different shape. And now it's just the same generic circular badge you'll see everywhere. I don't know what it is with these clubs, man. You see a couple big clubs have similar badges and everyone's like, yeah, we should do that. Instead of, being unique and really sticking to your roots. I don't get it. I mean, even Yeovil, right? Yeovil had a new badge designed. It's not circular, but it still looks shit. So maybe it's more of a commentary on badge redesigns than the whole circular thing anyway, but either way, they ain't good. They're very rarely better than the badge they replace, and there's many such cases of that. However, there are some circular badges that I do like. I think Bayern Munich, Celtic, Chelsea, Cruzeiro, Man City, PSG, Brentford and Rangers all have very solid circular badges, and most of these teams have had those badges for years, and I think they look pretty good. I mean, Man City is based off a previous badge. PSG have had a very similar badge for a very long time. Celtic are the same, had the badge for a while. Same with Chelsea. These are all good examples of how a circular badge can be done right, and I think a lot of teams are just missing the mark on that. It needs to be less, cookie cutter, very similar badge design. You can have a circle, but you just got to go a bit crazy with it, implement your own design ideas into there, like Brentford have done, They've got the B, they've got the pinstripes as well. It looks nice, but then you look at Deportivo Alaves and it's just not as good. So there's a lot to be learned from a circular badge. They can be done right. Milton Keynes was not done right. Anyway, I love yapping about football badges, but the main focus of the video should be Newcastle United. The Magpies do have a history of circular badges, having 2 in their history, with their 83 to 88 badge being quality. Technically a circle, although not really. I like it either way, I'm counting it. Big fan of it. And I've actually been planning to do a badge redesign video for a while, and this just seemed like the perfect opportunity for me to test those waters. So here we are. I've taken it upon myself to redesign Newcastle United's badge, to fit in line with the modern badge design space, I guess, to really create a badge that somebody with no connection to the club would absolutely love. I thought of going with a Saudi vibe, but that didn't really work, and I'm not sure it would work on a football badge either. So we're going to ditch that idea. I'm going to look at the circle. To start with, I decided to separate all the elements of the current Newcastle United badge, as there are a lot of elements within that badge that I really like, and I'd love to try and tie them into this new design I've got planned. I say planned, there was a vague idea in my head, but I did just make it up as I went along. There wasn't really a plan. I love the seahorses on the Newcastle badge, and I'm a big fan of the shield design as well. It's one of the more unique shield designs that we've seen from football badges, so I'd like to maintain that where possible. I then scavenged some elements from their 76 to 83 badge as well, namely the Magpie and the Castle. The Magpie for fairly obvious reasons, you know, they are the Mags, and the Castle just because I liked it, quite frankly. It's a pretty cool looking castle. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really have an idea in mind when designing this badge. All I knew is I wanted it to be a circular badge, purely for the culture. Now, of course, the main colours of Newcastle United are black and white, but I just had to include the blue from their current badge as well. It looks very nice and could be linked back to the River Tyne if you want to go down that route with your fancy design language. I didn't actually know how to do the circular text when coming into this video, so I had a few good attempts at getting it right, but once I'd finally sussed it out, we were good to go and we managed to get there in the end. I decided to go with the Chuck Noon font. It's the font I use in pretty much all of my videos nowadays, and I just really like it, and I thought it looked well on the badge as well. I didn't plan to use it initially, but after seeing it here, good choice from me. After faffing about with the text for about 10 to 20 minutes, I thought it was time to reintroduce those seahorses. I opted to have them flanking either side of the inner circle in the same yellow and gold that we see in their shield, you know, around the edge of that. Thought the colour looked nice, so I wanted to keep it in use here as well. Speaking of that shield, it was time to implement it here. Now, taking a look at some of the other circular designs, they sometimes have elements that overlap the main circle, such as Brentford and Manchester City, and that is something that I like to see and something that I want to implement here as well. It took a bit of shuffling around with how I wanted the badge positioned and where it should sit, which elements it overlapped and sort of thing, but you know, took a bit of moving around, but I put it into a position that I'm happy with. I think it looks really nice here. It's a bit off center, a bit lower down than if it was central on the badge, but I think it works well there. Then I had to figure out how to do the founding year and how to get it displayed correctly, as trying it was upside down. So it took a little more investigation, but we got there in the end and managed to whack that founding year at the bottom as well, as most of these badges do as well. It has to be on the badge somewhere, it just has to be. And after finally sussing out the text, it was finally time to add the main design elements. And the big question, what should go on the shield and whereabouts should it go? Now, the obvious answer for that was the magpie. So that's what I did. The magpie is a very important symbol of Newcastle United. They are the Magpies. They've had on quite a few of their previous badges, and I just could not include it on this badge, if that makes sense. I also wanted to implement some form of the castle as well. They've been almost ever present on a Newcastle United badge. My options were the castle topper from the current badge or the castle that's featured on the 76 to 83 badge. That castle didn't look too good when I tried it, so opted to use the castle turret that we see on top of their current badge instead. And, you know, it looked quite good, I think. We had to take away the lion and the flag. Apologies to the lion. But with those elements removed, just the silhouette of the turret there, I think it was pretty good. I then finalised the badge by adding the turret behind the magpie, giving it that gold/yellow outline colour and filling it with black. Tried white, but it just didn't work, so we went with black in the end, and that was that. So I cleaned things up, and this is the result, your new Newcastle United badge. Now, whilst I designed the badge to be a play on the common circular badges we see nowadays, I do actually think I did quite a decent job with it. The badge would look better with more bespoke elements designed specifically for that badge, but I just don't have that type of design in my locker, so you're gonna have to make do with these cookie cutter elements that I've ripped from their other badges. For a design that was cobbled together with these existing elements though, I think it's a pretty solid effort if I do say so myself. If there are any Newcastle fans watching this, what do you think? I'm sure you've probably clicked off by now, but if some of you have stuck it through, please let me know on how much you dislike this badge. I would love to hear your thoughts, even though I do expect them to be mostly negative. But hey, that's all part of the discourse. This was all for the fun of it. I really hope you don't get a badge like this, because you deserve a lot better. Anyways, I've been O2GT, and I hope you've enjoyed this very different type of video. Football badges are something that really interests me, and I think a lot of you too. If there is a demand, I would love to do something similar for the rest of the Premier League teams, so please let me know if that's something you'd like to see as well. I love looking at past badge designs and seeing how they've evolved over the years. I think there's a case to say there's a clear decline in badge design recently, but some newer badges do look good as well, but the bad far outweighs the good currently. It's not great to see, but you've got teams with nice badges who are sticking by them. I thought Newcastle United would be one of those. Unfortunately, that isn't the case anymore, but I hope that whatever the club decides to go with looks good and is worthy of a team like Newcastle United. Newcastle, if you're watching this video and you want to use this badge design, just hit my line, guys. Hit me up and I'll hook you up for a bit of dollary do, but it can be done. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.